the day fans all over the world have been waiting for, and in just a matter of hours, the opening game in the Rugby World Cup will take place. And more than 400,000 fans in Japan for the first match between 400,000. I don't think that can be right, can it? Go scroll back up, the other way. It definitely says 400,000 fans in Japan for the first match.
That doesn't seem right, does it? No.
There's lots of people going to be watching it.
Mind you, you thought it was October.
I did. What do I know?
I don't think you could throw stones in this glass house.
Either way,
listen, one man who knows exactly what's going on and knows exactly what it's like to actually lift the trophy is former England captain Mike Tindall, who was part of the winning World Cup team in 2003. Can the feeling of that moment be described? What was it like?
First, I don't think I know anything really now what's going on for them now. A little bit out of the game. But, yeah, look, it's very hard to sort of flick back to that moment when all you remember is just pure joy.
Because after that, it felt like they created a fantastic platform, and England could go on and be a considerably dominant force against those Southern Hemisphere teams.
I think going through 2000, it was all about winning that World Cup. It wasn't about the Sunday after the World Cup. It was always about that. So I don't think we really blooded the next generation as well as we could have then. Obviously, we got to the final in 2007.
I was there, yeah.
And people will still watch that video of Mark Cueto's foot and whether it was on the line or whether it was out the line. So, yeah, we've got there. But yeah, I feel that we're always going to be there to contest. Obviously, 2015 was so disappointing for us as the home nation. But I think where Eddie's got us to now, we go there with a genuine chance. I think we go there with possibly the best 31 players in terms of strength of squad. Whether it's difficulty for us or not, we obviously get our two so-called easier games out of the way first with USA and Tonga. And then we have to go Tier 1 teams all the way to the final. So 5 games back-to-back, which is going to be intense mentally as well as keeping people fit and their bodies. And
You two are so passionate, both of you, obviously, for different reasons. He's a fan and you're an actual player. I know what you're doing.
I'm now just a fan.
Little harsh. But I wonder if what you can tell for those that haven't got rugby running through their veins, why they should watch this. Because I think, for instance, the Cricket World Cup and the win there really kind of ignited a surge in cricket generally in its popularity. Why should people tune in to the World Cup? What is so great? It's often a way that people get access to football or into other things, isn't it? It's a world event.
We can offer you a super over anyway, but I think now with where the game is, it's so fast moving. I think generally, even if you do switch it on, you can get into it. I was speaking to the lady in makeup and she was like, I love a pint and watching the rugby. So, you know, it's going to be on and it's going to be able to have that sort of atmosphere. And I think...
Knowing the girls in makeup, it won't be just one pint.
And that's not just rugby. They'd like to have a pint with...
But I think you're going into it, if you put it in, it's in a neutral location, so no one's really got an advantage of home territory. I think there
Is that the first time as well?
Yeah, that's the first time. And I think genuinely... It's the first time where, if you look at the rankings, it's all over the place. Ireland have got currently #1, but Wales jumped up there. New Zealand have been up there. It sort of suggests that there is shocks on the card. There are going to be teams that could possibly...
So let's talk about those shocks then, Mike. I mean, we'll go through home nations. Touched on England, great squad, decent chance. The Welsh and the Irish are sort of disappointing sort of warm-up games for the Welsh, really. They beat England, of course, but how are they coming to this?
Obviously Grand Slam champions. You can't write them off. They probably would have preferred their warm-up games to go a little bit differently. Obviously, England played outstandingly well at Twickenham. We rocked a little bit this week with what happened with Rob Howley, but I don't think that's going to affect them. I think that's probably going to bring them together. I think they've got one of the tightest squads. So they're always going to be in the mix. Obviously, their group against Australia, they should get through to a quarters, and then they've shown that they can win games. Ireland, again, a year and a half ago, were only team to have beaten New Zealand twice. The last two hit-outs, very dominant. Six Nations didn't go how they wanted. So again, they're in the mix, and know having that confidence of not losing to New Zealand in a couple of years, that if they can find their form that they showed last year, they're going to be in the mix. Scotland can beat anyone on their day. I think for Scotland, though, it's about keeping healthy bodies. The depth of their squad isn't quite as deep as others, but they can beat anyone on their day. And then,
do you think they'll play running rugby with him, Russell? Do you think they'll let him do what he can do?
But they've got to. That's what people want to watch, and that's what seems to suit them best. That's what seems to suit them best. You know, they're one of the teams that I would pay to go and watch because you just. When he's on song, it's so impressive to watch.
Yeah. What about Kate? What about the Japanese? Of course, last World Cup they beat South Africa in that stunning defeat to South Africa in Brighton. I think it's being made into a film. It was so extraordinary. Can they do something special this time around?
I think they can if you look at their group, so that they have the ability to score tries. Obviously, disappointing for them. They played South Africa and lost 41-7. But other than that, they do have the ability to score, and at home, hopefully, the pressure won't get to them. I think as long as they can get some wins, starting with Russia, which will give the country a lift and then get us off on the...
They certainly seem to have embraced it, don't they?
Yeah.
But, yeah, they seem to really embrace it.
I think they just generally love sport, and when they get into it, they are fully into it. I think, that 2015 just kick-started their rugby. Obviously, then they got a franchise in the Super Rugby, and they've sort of grown from there.
And they have their own professional league as well, which a lot of the high-profile players from around the world go and play for sort of 12, 16 weeks of the year.
And everyone that said it has enjoyed it, and I think that's the big thing for the teams is getting over there, enjoying the culture, and actually embracing it. It's not often. I've never toured there with a rugby team. I've popped over there for like 2 days and stuff, but I think from what I've heard from the England group, they're really immersing themselves and enjoying that side of it, and that's the best thing. World Cups is around making memories as well as the rugby that goes on the field. I think it's the perfect place to do that.
Well, that's the memory we want. Holding up the cup.
Too right.
That's
Equally, I'd quite like some footage of the England front row doing some sumo wrestling. I think that would be pretty entertaining.
OK. All right.
Someone did go... One of the teams went sumo wrestling.
Have they done it already?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
You need to get your hands on that.
Lovely to see you, Evan. Mike, you're going out there at some point?
Yeah, going out quarter-finals.
Quarter-finals, it's going to be really exciting. It's really, really fantastic that it's coming. It starts today, of course, on ITV. Coverage will begin at 10:25. Great to see you, Mike. Thanks for coming.